What's up YouTube, Del here from Zephyr, and I finally was able to get hold of my Flame Swordsman deck core, and then I asked you guys which one you would like to see the most, whether it be a Joey theme, a budget theme, or the most powerful one. And that is of course exactly what I'm going to show you here. Here is the most competitive version of Flame Swordsman, in my opinion. Now, the reason it is the most competitive is it will utilise everything. It will utilise the Infernoble engine, and it will also use the Sinful Spoils Wanted engine as well, just because it increases the consistency, it puts it to its max potential. That's what you've requested, so this is exactly what I'm going to show you. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. We're going to dive head first into the profile. I'll show you exactly what we've got, and I'll explain why I use it as we go. So of course you do start off with the triple fighting Flame Swordsman. This is without question an insane new piece of kit for a Flame Swordsman type deck, but also an insane piece of kit for a Infernoble Knight deck. Yes, they lost Isolde, but they did gain this card as well. So if it is normal or special, you get to add a spell or trap that mentions Flame Swordsman from the deck to the hand. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to send one Flame Swordsman or one monster that mentions it from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard except itself. You can only use each effect once per turn. So obviously it's a Foolish Burial on top of being able to be an actual rotor for the entire deck. Because it is so important, you are utilising free fighting Flame Sword. Now I actually really like the artwork on this because it looks like the original anime. Not only is Fighting Flame Swordsman Joey, when you actually look closer up on the artwork as well, but then this one is like a direct scene from the original anime where it's like Flame Swordsman cutting through a monster in the background. Looks really cool, and I'm glad that at the very least these were foils, just because it shines that little bit more. But the reason this card is so good is a quick play, so it can be utilised during the draw phase to play around draw. Now you can only activate one of the effects, but you get to add a card from the deck to the hand that mentions Flame Swordsman, except Fighting Flame Sword, so it can't just add itself. When an attack is declared involving a fire warrior in general that you control, you can target one card in the field and destroy it. Very nice. And then when your opponent activates a card effect that targets a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, you can negate it as well. Really, really important. So the idea is that you've got 6 copies of your Fighting Flame Swordsman, and if you've already got this, you can then utilise this as a battle phase protector kind of element, but also a targeted protector if your opponent is trying to like early doors imperm you and work its way back from there. Then we've got the one Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon. All the Fs in these ones. So this one is, while this card is equipped to Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, the equipped monster gains 700 attack. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you get to target a warrior monster you control, equip this card to that monster you control as an equip spell. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Salamandra spell or trap from your deck to the hand. Now again, the best thing about a card like this is because it just lets you target a fire warrior, it means you can utilise it with the rest of your Infernoble Knight monsters as well. So that's why there is a version of this deck that purely doesn't play the Wanted engine, just focuses on Infernoble Knights more so. Now the Salamander cards that you can search out are of course the Salamander Fusion or the Salamander with Chain. Both of these are absolutely insane. In my opinion, the Fusion is better, purely because it does give you an insane effect to allow you to Fusion summon. So you're equipped only to a Fire Warrior monster, nice, it gains 700 attack. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can get to destroy this card instead. But while this card is equipped to a Fusion monster that you control, you can send this card and the equipped monster to the graveyard, and if you do, you get to special summon a Flame Swordsman or a Fusion monster that mentions it from the extra deck. It is treated as a fusion summon, and you can only use its effect once per turn. So the other is its ways of being able to get into your brand new boss monster, the Ultimate Flame Swordsman. Sorry for the glare on that one. The other Salamander card that you can search out is the Trap card. So you get to target a fire monster on the field, equip this card to it as an equip card that gives it 700 attack, and then you can change one effect monster on the field to face down defense position. You can banish this card from the graveyard to fusion summon a Fire Warrior or Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck. So it's relatively generic because it lets you get any Fire Warrior or a Dragon Fusion by shuffling its materials from your hand, field and or graveyard into the deck. However, you do have to destroy it during the end phase, which really, to be honest, you don't matter, because the idea is that if you're going to use that effect, you're going to use it to get into your Ultimate Flame Swordsman. You're going to do that during your opponent's turn, and then this card has a nice little quick effect to kind of pop and then go from there. The final card is Flame Swords Realm. This card's nuts. I love the artwork on it. Flame Swordsman standing in the middle. Like, the only disappointing thing about this is that this isn't a foil. I would love to have seen this as a foil, but regardless. This card is absolutely insane. I'm going to try and bring it close to the camera without getting mass glare, but I just absolutely love the artwork on this. So you've got Flame Swords in the middle, and then you've got the Fire Salamandra around it. Like, it's just such a cool action piece. Really, really rate this card. So your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when you normal summon a Fire Warrior monster. Now, it's a little bit disappointing. I would have loved it to have said if you normal special Fire Warrior monster, because it's such, like, unlike Branded Lost or Invocation, where they're like, if you fusion summon, it's like, okay, cool. This one is specifically on normal summon, and you're only really going to normal summon once. So chances are you want this on the field, you want to have it before you get your Fighting Flame Swordsman, really, in order to kind of utilize the effects on summon. And then once per turn, you get to send one monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to special summon a Flame Swordsman from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon. And then once per turn, when a monster declares an attack, you can target a warrior monster you control. Until the end of this turn, it loses exactly 1,000 attack, but all other monsters you currently control gain 1,000 attack. So it's a nice little buff for all of your other monsters. Again, nice and generic. And then the idea is it lets you cheat out your Flame Swordsman, which is really kind of cool as well. I'm just going to go over the hand traps because it's pretty basic. It comes down to your local environment, but we've gone with probably the best two right now, and that's obviously Ash and Imperm. So these are probably the best generic ones. I expect that once Phantom Nightmare comes out, which is sneak peek is next weekend, Droll is 100% going in the mains of everything. And the reason I say that is when you're looking at everything right now, Maze of Memory, the card that people want to get is Bonfire, which is a normal spell card that searches. So straight away, unlike Wanted Seeker and the Flame Swordsman, it can't be activated in the draw phase to play around Droll. The card, more times than not, that you are searching off of Bonfire as it currently stands, is going to be a searcher. Whether it be Populous, whether it be the brand new Ashen, or heck, even if you want to play it in the Volcanics, the card you're ideally going to search is a card that then wants to search itself again. So as soon as they activate Bonfire, you're going to be drawing Lockbird in them, which is why you need to be very protective in this deck as well, and utilise cards like Wanted Seeker and the Flame Swordsman during the draw phase, so that you know you're going to get at least one more additional free search before you get hit with that Drown Lockbird. Speaking of the Wanted engine, this is really what makes it expensive. You don't have to play this. I really do like just pure Flame Swordsman, and I do like just Infernoble Knight Flame Swordsman, but you wanted the max potential, so you have to kind of show everything that is going to push this deck to its highest potential. So triple Wanted, all straightforward on this one. Triple Wanted into the one Original Sin, and then the one Dear Belstar. So this, into this, into this, put this back, draw a card. So what more could you want? The Infinite engine, so obviously Renard, insanely powerful. Ogier and Oliver. Oliver is just a really nice extender, and then Ogier, there'll be times without a combo where you'll actually special it and try and get to it in other ways, and then that's how you're going to be able to utilize it, as well as its equip spell ability to kind of set up your Gearfried plays and everything else. Turpin, again, just a very nice extender. The only other one that I would consider, and I'd actually put it in the side deck, would be the level 1 Roland. And the reason I would do that is I would also put Angelica's Ring in the side deck. Because one card that this deck will massively lose to, or struggle against, is Dark Rule No More. Now what I mean by that is when you look at the end board that it's producing, stuff like Baron, followed up by a Great Emperor Charles, and then an Appaloosa with multiple negates, and the ability to get into your Ultimate Flame Swordsman. Yes, the nice thing is that because you can hold back the Ultimate Flame Swordsman coming off the back of your trap card, it means you have a way to kind of play around Dark Rule No More. But if you let your opponent get to the draw phase, get to the main phase, and they activate Dark Rule No More, there's a sequence of plays that you need to interact with, or you need to activate in order to set up your Ultimate Flame Swordsman. So Dark Ruler will still end the turn, which is why I really like the idea of side decking in the Roland and the Angelica's Ring, because it's something that you need to directly go for. And it's one of them ones that gives you the best countermeasure against Dark Ruler No More if you're going first. So let's say you win game 1, it's very unlikely they're going to let you go first, so you're going to be putting in all of your board breakers. If you do successfully break your opponent's board, great, you don't need to worry about Roland and Angelica at all. If you fail to win that game and you do have to go first in game 3, you need to make sure that you're able to get to your ability of setting up a way to protect against Dark Ruler No More. Now yes, if you're getting close to time, the ability of Dark Ruler No More is not as effective for your opponent because they ultimately will choose not to use it. But again, the idea is, because they want to get damage on board, the idea is that you kind of want to make sure they don't go Dark Ruler evenly, break your board, pass back to you, you've got no follow-up, you pass it back to them and they win in time. Which is why I think Angelica is better as a side deck option, because you also cannot guarantee that you're going to be able to go first in game 1. So that's where you might want to consider stuff like Forbidden Droplets if you feel you need more board breakers. And then the most important Infernoble Knight monster itself is the Recursion, just because it's a level 1 tuner that you're going to be summoning off your wanted Seeker, well, not off your wanted Seeker Sinful, but you're going to be getting off of your original Sin, and that's how you're going to get into Angelica, and that's how you can go through, basically use the Flame Swordsman play to set you up your protective plays of Appaloosa, meaning that you're then protected from Nibiru, or you'll put your opponent in a position saying, Nibiru me now, or I'm going to be protected for the rest of this turn, unless you've opened up Imperm and Nib. So that's a great way of being able to utilise it. The fact that the Wanted engine gives you that ability to resource and save that back. So one card, you're building up your board and your opponent's like, okay, I've got to interact now, and if they don't interact now, you're okay, I don't need to worry about it, I'm going to build my max board and I know you're not going to be able to break it, kind of thing. And then of course you've got Triple Museum, Noble Arms Museum, pretty straightforward and simple with that one. Followed up by the one Almace and the one Duradol, pretty again straightforward and simple on that one. I've then also gone with triple Pot of Prosperity. Now I'm playing Pot of Prosperity over the Chalice for the pure fact that if this is to be my one search under draw, at least I'm getting an option of, right, okay, cool, I need my Flame Swordsman card, or I need my Noble Knights card, or I want my Sinful card. So it gives me the option of all three, whereas the Chalice will only give you option. Yes, it gives you options to the equip cards, but it ideally gives me options for all three of the engines in this deck rather than just one. Yes, it does take a toll on the extra deck, but you do have a couple of flex spots in the extra deck, in my opinion, that you could afford to gamble on, and you could afford to get rid of for that one resolve of the Pot of Prosperity, with the hope that that one resolution will ultimately lead you to everything you need to. The one Rotor, because again, this can be your Flame Swordsman, or of course it can be any of the Infernobles, so it's covering both with as many, with as little cards as possible. The one Instant Fusion and the one Call by the Grave. So Instant Fusion, if I need it and I don't have the ability to get the Flame Swordsman, but I open up the Continuous Spell card, I can actually activate that to cheat out a Flame Swordsman and then use that as the fodder to get me into my ultimate Flame Swordsman. It's mainly in here for Millennium Eyes Restrict, because like I've mentioned before, which is also where I've got Call by the Grave, I highly expect that the next format we're going to be going into, everyone's going to be maining Drolls. And Drolls can be quite damaging in this deck if you do decide to play it wrong, or you do have a lapse in judgment. But like I said, you want to be activating your Wanted, and you want to be activating your Flame Swordsman during the draw phases as early as you possibly can, to make sure that you're able to resolve those and not worry about Droll that early on. And then the last cards that I play are my Recursion cards, and that's Fire Recovery. Some people do play the Infernoble Knight that does pretty much the same job, but what I like about the Fire Recovery is it lets me target a fire monster in the graveyard, and I get to send any card from my hand to the graveyard to special summon back that targeted monster. So on top of that, it allows me to target my Flame Swordsman, it allows me to target my... it can even let you target your Charles as long as it's been successfully summoned, because you're just able to bring back any fire monster at the cost of sending any card from the hand. So there are some cards that you're like, okay, I don't mind this being in the graveyard because I can recur it later on. On top of that as well, you get the ability to target a fire, up to 3 fire monsters, sorry, exactly 3 fire monsters that are banished or in the graveyard, put them back into the deck and then draw 1 card. So again, it gives you recurability. And you'll notice that the target one in the graveyard, discard a card to summon it back, is not a hard once per turn. So you've got the ability for the one of those copy, but the shuffle back is a hard once per turn. It's one of the ones that you're playing 2 because you want to see it, but you don't want to play 3 to clog on it. Even though the Monster Reborn can be quite useful, you're still going to burn through that resource because you'll ultimately end up discarding the card you draw to give you that additional Monster Reborn. But it's one of these ones, or one of these cards that a lot of people are not going to expect in a deck like this, because they'll see it in Volcanics, they'll see it in Salamandrates, but they'll be like, Infernoble Knight? It's like, nah, I'm not going to play that. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm going to burn through all of my Infernoble Knight resource, I'm going to put it all back into the deck, even though, well, not all of it, because you're going to want to keep the cards that can be your crypt spells in the graveyard. But you can just cycle back your Roland, you can cycle back your Flame Swordsman, your Ultimate Flame Swordsman after it's been destroyed in the end phase. You name it, you just regain your resource and then go again the next turn, which is why I like it. It's down to personal preference, so if you don't want to play it, by all means you don't have to play it. But I feel that I could very easily see myself playing this in just like a pure Infernoble Knight Flame Swordsman version and a pure Joey inspired version as well. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, we'll start off with the one OG Flame Swordsman. I really regret not picking up a second one of this now. And I also, shout out to like I can never tell if this is the original artwork for it, because I swear that back in the day this was like the OCG artwork. But I'd really like to see this as a foil as well. But regardless, Flame Swordsman followed up by the brand new Ultimate Flame Swordsman. Such a cool card, really nice addition, and I would love to get this as a collector's rare because I really rate the artwork. So it's just like an upgraded Flame Swordsman, and then you've got the Salamander wrapping around his sword. I'm like, oh, 10 out of 10. So requires specifically Flame Swordsman plus Fighting Flame Dragon. So it's very specific on its materials, but you're able to set that up quite easily. You get to target a monster your opponent controls, and then you destroy it. And if you do, you inflict damage to your opponent inflict 500 damage to your opponent. It is a quick effect if it is equipped with an equips card, which you do quite often and easily anyway. And then at the start of the damage step, if this card battles, you can double this card's attack until the end phase of this turn. But if you do, you destroy it during the end phase of the of this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn, so it's a base of 2,800, and then when you're equipping it with ideally one of your Flame Swordsman cards, it's becoming a base of 35, so it then doubles up to a 7k boss monster. Then of course got the one Fighting Flame Dragon. So it requires a dragon monster and a fire warrior monster, so if you're ever in the dragon matchup, so like Dragon Link or anything like that, super poly, very, very good. Except during the damage step, it has a quick effect. To target one warrior fusion monster you control, equip this card to it from your field or graveyard to that monster you control as an equipped spell. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. While this card is equipped to a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, the equipped monster gains 700 attack, and it can make a second attack during each battle phase. So the idea is to give this to the Flame Swordsman. This can attack twice at 7k, and you're good to rock and roll. For the Infernoble Knights, God, my words are escaping me tonight. Infernoble Knights, got the one Angelica, the one Emperor Charles, the one Great Charles, the two Great Charles, and then the one Roland. So pretty standard on this lineup. I don't think there's much you'd want to change on that one. You could, if you want to, get really risky and cut one of these, but there are times when you don't want to be doing that. So, but you can do that. Could be one of the ones you get off of the Pot of Prosperity. Dark the Dark Charmer. So these are just your generic links. So the reason that you play Dark over something like Heater, even though the majority of your deck is Fire, is because more times than not your opponent is going to be on the Sinful Engine. So you would still be able to go, okay, use the Sinful Engine, use Witch and any other monster to go into Dark the Dark Charmer, and then steal one of your opponent's monsters or a Witch from their graveyard or anything else. Now, of course, this can very easily be Heater if you want it to. The idea behind that as well, to make it more consistent, is you would turn one of your level 1s into a Dark and then go into Dark the Dark Charmer. So the Dark would then be Link Kuriboh. I'm not playing Link Kuriboh in this build, and I'll explain why a little bit later on. But the idea is that you either play Dark the Dark Charmer or Heater, whichever one you feel more comfortable with the environment you're taking it to. SP Little Knight. Who thought that this was a good idea to make this a warrior and not a Cyberse? The fact that this is warrior is absolutely incredibly important for this deck, because there are plays where you'll lock yourself into warriors and you could still make SP Little Knight. Like, what? Carrying on with the generic links, of course we've got the one Cross Sheet. With a deck that can utilise Synchros and XYZs and Fusions, obviously the main reason for playing this is for the Fusions. It's just an absolute no-brainer. The fact you can summon a Fusion monster to a zone it points to, or special summon a monster to any zone it points to while it points to a Fusion, gives you an additional revival of the Fighting Flame Swordsman or any of your Fire Warrior monsters, is absolutely insane. So always going for that one. Appaloosa is basically your best defensive option for stuff like Nibiru. The one Millenniumizer Strict coming off the back of your instant fusion. And then the one Sky Slayer Typhoon, because I feel that going second, this is just one of them cards that gives you a complete out to something your opponent might be trying to build. You don't have to play it again. You can take this out, swap this out. The one card that I'm missing at the moment, which is the 15th card, is Baron de Fleur. I actually couldn't find my copy because I'm away from home at the moment. But yeah, the idea is that this would be your Baron. And then the Typhoon is in place of the Link Kuriboh, just for the pure fact that I quite like Typhoon. I think, yes, there are times you could lock yourself into Warriors, but the reason or the point that you would make Typhoon on is when you've got everything set up that you need, or you've baited out everything your opponent can offer to you, so you're just going to make a fat stack, like skill drain, bounce a card that might cause you an issue, and then kind of carry on through. Now, obviously, with SP Little Knight running around, that's just going to constantly keep dodging, keep coming back to the board and play under the Typhoon, so you really need to adapt it to the environment you're taking it to. But again, like I said, very easy, can be Link Kuriboh. Now that's it for the entire profile. I'll show you the basic Flame Swordsman one card combo just so you see exactly what the deck can do on its own, or what Flame Swordsman can do on its own. And then if you want to see the full combo with the Infernoble Knights, go and check out Team Sam's video. I feel he's pretty much nailed it in regards to well, showing all of the quarter centuries looked absolutely amazing, but also kind of showing you the max potential of what this deck can do from just 2 cards or 2.5 cards as well, I thought was really, really kind of cool. So I'm going to reset this, show you the basic Flame Swordsman combo that pretty much everyone has shown you before, but I thought I'd put it all in one nice video for you, and then we'll go from there. So back in a second. The 1-card combo, of course, comes from Joey himself. So it starts off with the Fighting Flame Swordsman. This is the basic combo for the deck, just so you kind of get your head around it, and then every additional card you add to your hand will allow you to extend that bit further, mainly the Sinful Spoils Wanted side. So you're going to start off by normal summoning your Fighting Flame Swordsman, which lets you add a spell or spell or trap that specifically mentions Flame Swordsman. So you get to add your Flame Swords Realm. You're going to activate this, and this is going to give you the ability to send 1 monster from your hand or face up from the field to the graveyard to special summon, very nice, Flame Swordsman from the extra deck. There we go. In doing so, you'll also be able to trigger the graveyard effect of your Fighting Flame Swordsman, sitting right here, which allows you to send from the deck to the graveyard 1 card that mentions, or 1 monster that mentions Flame Swordsman from the deck or extra deck to the graveyard except itself, and you're going to want to send your Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon. In doing so, you get to trigger the graveyard effect of the Flying Flame Dragon. If it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Salamander spell or trap from the deck to the hand, and you're going to go directly for your Salamander Fusion. You're then going to be able to equip this to a Fire Warrior monster, being Flame Swordsman, and then you're going to be able to use its effect. While this card is equipped to a fusion monster you control, you can send this card and the equipped monster to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon 1 Flame Swordsman or fusion monster that mentions it from your extra deck, and it is treated as a fusion summon. So you get to go boom, boom, tag those out, go into your ultimate Flame Swordsman. But we are not done yet. No. We're then going to use the graveyard effect of the Salamander, the Flying Flame Dragon. Target a warrior monster you control, equip this card to that monster as an equipped spell, and that then allows it to gain 700 attack. In doing so, because this is equipped, it becomes a quick effect, so you've got the ability to pop a card. Now, obviously, this is the baseline combo, very, very basic. You've gone through 1 card, you still have 4 more cards to play with, but the idea is that you set up a Trident, basically. A very strong Trident as well, that if it does survive the turn, will ultimately be pushing in for game with 1 additional card on the board to help you do so. So that's it for the basic combo, that's it for the basic profile. Like I said, I presented this as the best version of the deck, the strongest version of the deck, and it just plays so many of the meta-relevant engines, and it all synergizes incredibly well together, that it allows it to kind of push on the strongest board possible. If you do want to see a budget version, or if you want to see a Joey-inspired version, or heck, just an update to Infernoble Knights with this engine as well, then make sure you smash that like button, get it above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and I will be more than happy to bring it for you. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.